Welcome, everyone, to the Sigma Show. It's me, your host, Sigma. Before I let you know I'm sorry, today's episode 71. I should let you know what episode number this is. This is the 71st episode of the Sigma Show. Before I let you know who is joining me on this episode, real quick, we'll go over what our topics will be for the week. Again, still not like a ton of news out on the internet, but enough stuff that I feel like we can draw some conversations from it. First up, there's been a trailer reveal for something we've heard about, this new My Hero Academia Battle Royale game. We'll talk about, I guess, our feelings on that trailer and I guess maybe on Battle Royale content in general, because there's also some news of another Battle Royale that kind of bit the dust. We'll get into that, as well as a tweet that came from EA social accounts on Twitter that got an immense amount of feedback. Basically, they said something a little demeaning, I guess, to like single player game players, and the internet did not like that. But we'll get more into details of how that happened and possibly talk more single player and multiplayer games in general. But here to discuss these things with me today, Rachel Kaiser.
Hey everyone, I'm back.
Welcome. Rexicon Jesse.
Hey everyone. Not to say the same thing, but hi, I'm also back.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a while since I've had both of you for a little bit.
I missed you, Jesse.
I missed you too. Thanks.
Aw. And also joining us, last but not least, the Fat Stacks.
What's going on, y'all? What's happening?
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Lamb says I'm quiet compared to the guests. All right, I can raise myself up a little bit here. Don't regret it now that I'm a louder person.
I missed you too, Fat Stacks.
Miss you too, Rachel. Hopefully you've had a good week.
I love the love that my guests have for each other on the show.
Hey, compared to what's going out there in the world right now.
Oh my God, yes.
Good people are hard to come across these days, you know?
We're all in this together.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
But on that note, speaking of things we use to distract ourselves from the horrors of the real world, what have you guys been playing? What have you been watching, reading, etc., etc.? Let's get into it. Anybody want to go first?
I can go first.
Yeah, right in.
Well, I've been playing Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes a lot more, just gearing up for my review. I'm only a week late, so I'm only a week behind schedule, but you know it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
I've been a little distracted by the aforementioned horrors of the real world, but yeah,
No one can blame you.
been going back into the world of Fodlan and enjoying the company of my old friends once again. So, don't want to give too much away before the review. I just find it amusing that the whole plot of the game is, the Fire Emblem Three Houses is like, the whole world changes because the three leaders of the world are, met some random Yahoo in the forest. And the whole thesis of Three Hopes is, hey, imagine how much different the world would have been if they'd met some other random Yahoo who also happens to have a voice in their head in that same forest.
So this is an alternate timeline story. Like, it's not like a continuation or a side story based on the events of the first game?
No, it's a complete alternate universe, which is a little bit strange because the first Fire Emblem Warriors was, you were kind of on the same level as the returning characters. It was a completely new world that they were drawn into, that they sort of like, it was almost a precursor to Fire Emblem Heroes in that, like characters from
right.
Awakening and Fates show up in this random alternate world that they don't know anything about, and then they decide to stay and help out a little bit. And
Okay.
you were sort of on the same footing as them because you had no clue what was going on. And in this one, it's sort of predicated on you have to have basically played Three Houses to understand and appreciate Three Hopes. Otherwise, it's not really a story that stands on its own, I don't think.
Also, even with it being alternate, like there's a lot of reference to the previous game story. Well, I'm saying previous game, but just the Three Houses story.
Yeah, I don't think you'll get the whole like meaning of it without having played Three Houses.
Okay. I still need to finish Three Houses, but I've had this on my radar because of how much I love Three Houses.
Mm-hmm.
So like, as a big Fire Emblem Three Houses fan, like I know it's an entirely different genre. It's the Musou genre. Most people aren't really fans of like the Dynasty Warrior style beat 'em up. But like, does this offer anything? And again, I know you have a review coming out, but does this offer anything that someone who's not into Musou games can latch onto because of their love for Fire Emblem?
I think so. I think it's well, I do think, I'm not going to lie to you, you will get bored of the Musou combat. It's not it's not, definitely not the same thing. It doesn't serve the story as well because Fire Emblem. I mean, I think of Three Houses as like the ultimate like evolution of Fire Emblem. It's most realized form. It's these because Fire Emblem is about like war and heartbreak and love and family. These sweeping stories that are told across like decades and continents and. There's so many recurring elements in Three Houses that have been in previous Fire Emblem games, and when I play Warriors, and the gameplay serves that. It's methodical, it's tactical, and the Muso genre, it really isn't. But they're trying to add things to the beat 'em up in order to make it more tactical. And at some point, you're like, screw this, just slash 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 slash. So it's like they're trying to make it more Fire Emblem-y, but all that does is just it's not that's not making it any better. Put it that way.
Gotcha. It feels like two separate parts, I guess. And all right, makes sense. If I can get a discount on it somewhere, I definitely still want to try it because first party Nintendo games they tend to just burn your pockets.
This is true.
Okay. Does that do it for you in terms of playing and watching, or anything else?
I am actually catching up on Kenobi. Again, I am behind schedule a little bit, I know, but I'm
not caught up either.
Yeah, the former Escape the Galaxy person here.
Right.
But yeah, I'm actually enjoying Kenobi. I've heard so many people like looking at the series like, why does this need to exist? It's like nothing needs to exist. It's good. We're giving Ewan McGregor a platform to finally, flex his acting muscles and, in this without having to share screen time with other people. So that's the only reason anything needs to exist in Star Wars. But yeah, they're going
to keep making Star Wars, so like, you might at least make it good if you're going to make it, like, make it enjoyable to the people who are going to tune in, I suppose.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people, it sounds like, who are asking for something different from a franchise that's been kind of doing the same thing for 40 years now.
Oh yeah. I think this is going to sound a little bit cold, but at a certain point, all the people who are in older at this point, the prequel series qualifies as like the old generation of Star Wars. At a certain point, all those people will be too old to reprise their roles in new projects. Then we can move on to new stuff.
Yeah, they do seem preoccupied with just making sure everyone who's ever been in a Star Wars thing can do it again.
Exactly. Yeah, and I don't know. I'm okay with it, and I'm a big fan and defender of the prequel series because I feel like it's a great tragedy. It's a galactic scale tragedy, and I enjoy the way it's written. And Obi-Wan is the Obi-Wan series is basically the immediate aftermath of that tragedy and coping with it, and in a way that the series has not up to this point. It has not acknowledged basically all the crap that went down in the prequel series and the hand that he had in it. Willing or not, so I think I actually think it's a necessary and emotionally resonant chapter in the story. But I also realized I might be alone in that opinion. But that's okay.
All right, that's fine. I do intend to check it out. I just haven't finished it yet. Been catching up on a bunch of other stuff myself.
On that note.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I can go next.
What a transition!
You're done. I've been catching up on The Boys. I'm on like episode 5 now. And I think there's 8 in total. I don't know if the last one has aired yet. But I don't know why. A lot of people were giving me the impression that the over-the-top gore and violence in The Boys has like kind of reached a new high. So I was kind of going into it feeling a little put off because like I'm not a big gore guy. Like I don't love like watching like inventive death scenes in horror movies or whatever. But I mean, yeah, they're kind of going for some shock and awe type scenarios, but the gore isn't any more intense than it ever has been. Like it seems to be still on the same level. Like mostly people just explode and like it reminds me of True Blood, how like stuff would just turn into straight up goo. Like they just do that all the time, and you know what, that's fine. Like it's cartoonish enough that like it doesn't feel like they're kind of playing into extreme violence for the sake of shock. It's like, I mean, yes, they want to shock you, but also it's this is very clearly just like an explosion of confetti to them, except it's like, you know, intestines and organs or whatever. But other than that, I will say, while I'm liking the plot, like the storyline between the characters, I'm sort of feeling a little underwhelmed. Like I don't know why. Like it's been built up as like this kind of grandiose political statement is kind of the underlining thing of the show. But I haven't really been getting that vibe. Like, I mean, I can see where it's supposed to be, but I don't feel like any of it is like hitting as hard or as nuanced as I was expecting based on like how people have been reacting to it. So that might be my fault for like waiting too long to see it myself and other people's expectations weighing on me and whatnot. But I'm enjoying it. But right now it's kind of like a solid 7 in terms of quality. And like I really like the first 2 seasons. Like this one is, to me, feels like it's a little less interesting. But I'll probably talk more in depth about that this coming Wednesday. Superman Jeff is going to be doing his Omniverse podcast series, and I'm going to be talking to him about that there. So tune in for that on his channel on Wednesday.
Yeah, I don't know about the nuance, because like they straight up do the like Pepsi commercial.
Yes, they completely copy that whole.
I'm pretty sure Homelander has direct Trump quotes. Like, I'm not sure that show. I can't say it doesn't know what nuance is, but like, yeah, it's pretty.
I would say that.
Yeah, it's very straightforward, with like, yeah, this is what we mean.
Yeah, because there was that whole thing that popped up on the internet where like a bunch of. And I don't know how true this is, but like apparently a bunch of right-wing conservatives in like a Reddit group or something started flipping out because they realized that Homelander is not like a good guy, like he's not redeemable or something. And like they were like put off, like, why are you making Homelander this jerk who's like evil or whatever? It's like, have you not been watching the show? So like that seems so insane to me that there was a mindset that like liked him as that. So that just sounds fake. But I've been known to be gullible in terms of like how humans act in the past. So I don't know. That could be absolutely real.
Some people do legitimately, unfortunately, like a character like Homelander for what he is, and that's awful because he is the villain.
Like very clearly,
yeah.
He's the villain. I will say I cannot remember the actor's name, but the guy who plays Homelander, he is fantastic on screen.
Oh, Anthony Starr.
Like, Anthony Starr, yes. Like, Jesus Christ, does he have like presence, like that just super unsettling energy he brings? Because he's never like you know how Giancarlo Esposito, who ironically is also in the show, but like he has like that kind of energy when he's playing villains and talking to people, where it's like, oh, he's very calm, but you should be very afraid of him. Mm-hmm. Homelander is kind of on the opposite spectrum, where he's very calm, but like it's very clearly fake. Like he's not calm at all. You know, he's nothing close to calm, but he's talking to you like he's calm, and that is so scary because he could just destroy you at a moment's notice without any warning. You never know what's going on in his head and what he's gonna do next, and like that kind of like unpredictability is like shockingly effective at just displaying, I don't know, tension, fear. Like it's great. Like his character work is great.
Mm-hmm. Can I say something real quick? Mm-hmm. I just wanted to say that I don't know whether it's an achievement of like lighting or cinematography or something, but they've shot him in such a way that he's very handsome, and he in a very Superman slash good old boy white bread American kind of way. But there's also something about him that just looking at him, even when he's not doing anything bad, it's like an uncanny valley effect. Like there's something about him that's just off.
No, yeah, like when they do the close-ups of him, like kind of like smiling weakly or forcibly, like you can just see how unhinged he is. Like it's all over his face. Like that is like fantastic facial acting, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been enjoying that, but like I don't know, I had expectations that it was doing something that I guess it never really was. But I got like 3 episodes left, I think. So. We'll see how that turns out. But outside of that, I'm trying to think. I've been watching Kuroko's Basket, which is a sports anime about basketball,
Oh,
a high school
Kuroko's
basketball team.
basketball, yeah.
Yeah,
Six man, the Phantom Six Man
right,
and all that. Yep.
right. I really like the premise of that show. It's about a school. It's about a middle school that had like a full team of like miraculous players. They're called the Generation of Miracles. Like a whole squad that could do things no other high school kid could do. They won like 3 consecutive championships or whatever. But then they also had a 6th rotating man who was also amazing, but like kind of falls on the radar. Nobody knows about that guy. And so it follows that guy, the 6th man, whose special talent is he can pass really well. Like he literally sucks at everything else in basketball, but his passes basically change the game, right? And like while I like that as like a dumb anime premise, the setup is so similar to Haikyuu, which a lot of you guys know is like probably one of my favorite animes, especially in the sports genre so far. It's so similar to Haikyuu, but like it's doing everything that Haikyuu does, but like a little worse. So like it's hard to like keep the morale up for this show when I know that this exact thing has been done a lot better. Like my main gripe about it is that it doesn't make the basketball itself like fun to watch. And you would think like basketball is sort of inherently a more entertaining sport to watch than volleyball, because like there's more movement across the court, like there's more fancy, like you can get like more highlights out of a basketball game than you can like a volleyball one, right? But I don't know, like they drill so deep on like the technical aspect of volleyball in Haiku, and they animate it in such a way that like the little things that they do are so dynamic and impressive that like you fall in love with the game of volleyball based on how these guys play it. And Kuroko's Basket kind of doesn't match that. Like every now and then you might get like a cool scene, but oftentimes it's like what's supposed to be impressive is that several characters never miss a shot, and it's like that's a little unrealistic. Like these are high schoolers. You're not hitting a shot from the opposite free throw line 100% of the time. That's just not a thing. Like that's not impressive. That's stupid. So, so I don't know. Like it's been putting me off in those ways. It also has like a far less interesting characters. Like the writing for the characters on Haikyuu is top tier. Like probably better than a lot of other straight up like animes that are based on like drama or more relatable life situations or whatever. But like, you know, the stories of these high school students, like their families and like their relationships with each other, like it's so much more dynamic and interesting than anything that's going on in Kuroko's Basket. Kuroko's Basket is very tropey. Like there's a character who is known for like one thing. Like for example, someone on the main team, he's known for making puns. Like that's his character trait, is he makes puns. And that's supposed to be enough for us to to get to know him and like him, and it's not. Like it's bad. So again, like I'm kind of pushing through it to get to the end, but it really just makes me miss Haikyuu, and I can't wait till a new season of Haikyuu comes out, because Kuroko's Basket is not hitting the way I want it to.
Too bad you can't watch Slam Dunk. It's an older basketball anime, but for everything you're talking about Haiku, Slam Dunk is. So if you haven't seen Slam Dunk,
okay.
it is very old though. I will say that the premise of Slam Dunk is where you have, you know, these rowdy kids. They all are in high school. Believe it's high school, and you know, you have this guy that's just rowdy. He ends up joining the basketball team and learning how to play basketball. So the whole premise is you have a guy learning how to play basketball, learning how to play with his teammates, learning skill sets, but it's not exaggerated. It's actually, they show where you act
like
the guy
they're like,
work.
they're like teaching you about the game of basketball,
right?
And all of its
right.
Okay.
One of the very first, well, I don't know if it's the very first, but close enough first to one of a basketball anime on a it's not flashy, but it's very similar, close to Haiku though when it comes to technicals and, you know, plays and space and stuff like that.
I might give that a shot down the road.
So,
but yeah, outside of the watching space, I've really been playing nothing but Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, because I had to get that review out for the expansion. I started playing this version of the game, I want to say at the start of the month, because I got code from Capcom for my personal Steam, because I was using the Escapist Steam account beforehand. So like I had to start from scratch, get all the way to end game to be ready for Sunbreak, and then once I got access to Sunbreak in the middle of the month, play through Sunbreak to get to the end of Sunbreak.
Hey, that's a lot.
Yeah, so like I put like 20 to 25 hours into the game already and then started over. And that's not even counting any of the game that I played on my personal Switch, because I own that game on Switch as well. So this is all just PC time I'm talking about. That being said, I have loved every second of Monster Hunter Rise and Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Like they make the combat so fun. It's so fun to use those weapons, to learn about all the different permutations of the new switch skills that you can swap in and out. And the fact that they've added the ability, this is like probably one of the biggest new additions in Sunbreak, is they made it so that when you create a loadout of your different switch skills, you can create a second one that you can swap to in the middle of a fight. So like I'm saying in the middle of a fight, but in the middle of a combo, you can even like go through a full set of moves, use your swap skill. It even gives you the ability to like do a dodge right after. So like when you swap, you get like a very generous like jumping dodge that like will take you out of harm's way. And then you can just continue into your combo with the new set of skills. And it is so cool looking. It's so fun. It's so satisfying. And like when you get like really good, and like when you really learn like what moves you have at your disposal and like when to use them in certain situations against the monster, like you feel completely unstoppable. And like the entirety of like the Monster Hunter gameplay loop feels like it coalesces into you just being this badass hunter on the field in those moments. And it is so fun. Like all I wanted to do was unlock more switch skills, get newer weapons to make myself stronger, and then go out and fight more monsters so that I could look as cool as I felt. And that really made me forgive the fact that one of my complaints for the base game was that they kind of ripped out a lot of the hunting part, like the preparation that you need in order to be prepared once you're in the field with those monsters. Like a lot of the min-maxing that you do to make sure you have the right elemental defenses, that you have weapons that'll do proper damage. Like you actually open up your hunter's notes and read up on the monster that you fought so that you know what areas are most effective against it and whatnot. They've de-emphasized a lot of that, like the food stuff. They de-emphasized. They turned it into Dango, where you really just pick 3 things rather than like a list of like 6 to 12. And like I'm fine with that now. Like I don't care as much about all of the prep, because just being out there and fighting is like it's the only thing I care about. Like it's the only thing I want to do, and everything else facilitates me getting out there to do that even better, or even faster, I should say. So yeah, I've been loving that. I'm done with the review now, but I'm probably gonna just keep on playing Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. I got to start over again because I have it on Switch and I've played none of it there, so I pretty much got to just do that all over again. So, but I'm fine with that. Anybody want to play with me? Let me know. I'll be playing Monster Hunter Rise
on Switch,
or PC. I got it on both.
I got it on Switch, and I do enjoy that game.
Yeah, I will keep on playing for sure. That's pretty much it for me. Jesse or Fat Stacks, you guys want to share?
Jesse, go ahead.
Okay. I was playing the latest behind schedules out for Gothic, so yay. But that means I have to go back to playing some Jet Set Radio to get some more footage for it, and I don't want to. Oh.
Yeah, I can't wait till that one comes out, because you had some thoughts. I feel like
I had a lot of thoughts. Did you play that game? Are you familiar?
No, I've never played Jet Set Radio.
I fear it. I fear the community on that one. But in happier things, I hit. I've been doing a Dead by Daylight, and like there's a big update coming for that to try and shake up the meta, which is really cool. Some of it looks terrifying. Some of it looks really good. I'm curious how it's going to play out.
Terrifying in a
like
in a good way, like you want it to be terrifying because it's a horror game, or like
some of the stuff, yes, and some of the stuff terrifying, and like they buffed a few things for survivors that look like it's gonna break the game, like giving them basically several extra health states, which is awful. Especially since this buff was supposed to help killers. Like this latest patch was supposed to help killers a lot, because they didn't have, they were saying, going by their numbers, they wanted more deaths. and that there weren't enough killers killing, so they're like, well, we got to do some buffs.
Okay.
And
but these buffs have somehow
yeah,
buff the survivors.
well, the buffs are good where it's like kick generators faster, run faster, like you do more as a killer, kind of like, it takes longer for survivors to do generator, give the killer more time to like get to places before gens pop. But they also changed a couple of survivor perks in that you can kind of chain them now and gain multiple, like you're supposed to take 2 hits and you're down. And there's a mechanic called endurance, which lets you tank 1 hit.
Okay.
And they changed some, a couple of perks that all give you that endurance that you can use together, and that's usually never the case. And so you can take like 3 extra hits if you do it right, which is insane.
Yeah, that sounds broken.
Yeah.
If 2 is supposed to be the normal.
Yeah, and that's like on top of getting normally hit. Like 2 health states and then like 2 or 3 additional health states. Ugh. So I'm worried about that.
All right, I'm sure you'll manage. You're a seasoned killer. Sure, you'll figure out how to stab those kids.
I hit Eerie 1 again, so yes. Really excited about that. I've been playing like Mario Party and Fall Guys with my partner too, which we both had.
Okay,
Fall Guys.
Fall Guys just went free to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are checking out for the first time now.
Yeah, and we both have copies of that, so like we've been playing it just regular before that, but like it's cool because it's easier to place now because there's so many new people playing that it's like yeah, let me just mosey on past the finish line.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I forgot if we mentioned I started watching One Piece from the beginning.
Oh, you started One Piece.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wee.
Yeah, we're on
See you in
like
a few years, Jesse.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
about to
on, like-
say that's. Whew, man.
we're on like episode 7.
All right. How are you feeling about it so far?
I like it. It's cool.
Okay.
It's very like I want to say I don't know how many of you have watched any or all of One Piece. Like it
Yeah.
it started so long ago. It feels very dated in a lot of ways. In like that
Yeah.
style of like because we're watching the dub of like anime from that time period.
Okay.
And like both the American interpretation of it and the actual anime itself. But like it's charming. I understand why, and I'm curious what things kind of copied it and like what
Probably a lot.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
because there are a lot of like little strange little bits of it that's like this is familiar, like I recognize this but not from One Piece, like from other things. But so far it's really cool. I love an ensemble cast, so like they're really
Yeah, they got that.
giving me that. I love wackadoo superpowers, which is basically what the devil fruit gives you.
Yeah.
And like I don't want to say the art isn't good because I like it, but like
It is odd.
yeah.
Like it doesn't look like anything else.
Right. And that's cool. But then there's things like, I don't know, in episode like 5 or 6, there's a dog named Shoo Shoo. And if you look up the drawings of this dog, it looks nothing like a dog. Like it is a poorly drawn dog. It is awful. But I love
Let
it.
me look up Shoo Shoo right now.
It's adorable. But it's a terribly drawn dog. Like
Spell that, please.
I think it's. Hang on, I gotta. Let me.
Oh right, yes. this long faced dog. SHU, I think, or CHOU. What are you talking
Yes.
about, Jesse? This looks exactly like a dog.
This look. Like,
Have you never seen a dog before?
look at the like. Okay, I'm gonna drop this picture. I think I can do links in your chat. Like, look at this. Tell me this is not someone's drawing the face of an old man and not a dog. Like
man.
that's what it looks like. But it's adorable. Like,
Hold on, I just pulled up a picture on the stream. For folks.
that's even better than it looks sometimes. Like that one that you just put on stream. But like I like that. I feel like, and I know a friend of mine my friend Blight really likes One Piece, and I think he was saying like one of the reasons it looks weird is because like in the original thing when he was trying to draw Luffy like stretching, doing actual anatomy made it look awful. And so he had to draw Luffy with like this weird, rubber hose style. And that I think, if I remember correctly, like influenced the style of the rest of the show. And I feel like it works. And it does give it a very unique look.
Yeah, it's very iconic. Like there are characters in One Piece that honestly, like you look at them and like, what the F is going on here? But you remember that character. Like like much later you'll see like, and the thing is, Ono also Oda also draws a lot of characters that are based on like celebrities or whatever. So like you'll come across some character and be like, that sort of looks like this guy, and like more than likely that's who it was supposed to look like. So like that kind of stuff is also funny.
That's really funny. I like that. But yeah, so I'm enjoying it. And yeah, very much iconic art. Like there's several people I recognize watching this and being like, oh, that's where they're from. Like I just knew that character from like cosplay and from fan art and from conventions and stuff, and like didn't know where they were from, but instantly recognized them.
Nice.
Yeah. And
so I'm glad you're enjoying it, because I know it can be a slow start for some people, and it's a daunting number of episodes to ever commit to.
It is.
I'm not going to force anyone to like, hey, you start from the beginning, watch all of One Piece. That sounds like a crazy man's endeavor. But it does get better. Like even after 1,000+ episodes in, it continues to like add on to its plot, and in very meaningful ways. Like nothing gets stale because the plot's always moving forward towards that goal. There are some like arcs that are slower than others, but overall it continues to be like super interesting, and you keep rooting for those characters, except for Usopp. I don't like Usopp.
I don't know who that is, but
you about to find out.
Oh yeah, maybe episode 7 you haven't got to him yet.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Jeff in the chat says I started over 3 times. Yeah, Jeff, there's something going on with Jeff. You gotta write down an intervention for that man.
Yeah, One Piece is a one-time watch, like Case Closed, Naruto, and all of them. Yeah, 1,000-something episodes is rough from square one.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, when we started, we were like, look, this isn't to the end. When we get bored, we'll stop. Like we're not committing to 1,000 episodes.
I will say on that note, make sure you are skipping any filler. Like there's not a ton of filler, but usually after like major arcs conclude, you'll know because they'll do like an episode where they update you on like everyone's bounty. Like they'll like jump around and like tell you like, oh, because of these events, everyone's bounty number has gone up by this amount. Like usually there are like 2 or 3 episodes after those where it has nothing to do with nothing. Like just skip those. Like you'll just skip those and go back to like when the next arc starts.
I hate those recap episodes. So
sometimes you need them, especially in a show as long as One Piece.
All right,
like, you be forgetting stuff.
Freaking 1,000 episodes, sure, but like when it's a normal show, like Samurai Champloo has one whole episode that's just here's everything that happened so far, and I was like mad when I watched it.
But that's an hilarious episode.
Samurai Champloo is
yeah, they did it in an interesting way, but I think a lot of that comes from when it was airing. There was probably a break from between when the last thing aired and then it came back, so that might be what that was for. But I mean, yeah, you can skip that if you really want to. Now that we can just binge everything. Lampy says, no, Jesse, watch them all.
Cool.
Dang, DJ says he's also on his 3rd restart. What is going on, guys?
Like restart, like you
like from episode 1,
or like you didn't finish it and you restarted. Like, well, I only made it to episode 10, so let me restart again. I'll get through this time.
No, Jeff, I know for a fact is watching it on a weekly basis for the most part. So like that's also nuts. But DJ, I'm pretty sure also watched it to the end and has now started over again. And also, DJ's asking, "Yo, what's with the Usopp beef?" I don't want to spoil anything, but Usopp is the resident coward of the crew, and I kind of dislike cowardly characters. And One Piece has gone on for so long. I am beyond tired of that being his shtick.
And
Like that's all I'll say about that.
that doesn't go away. Unfortunately,
Like
that's the
yeah,
whole
like
premise
that's the
of this.
role. That's the role he holds
Yeah.
on the crew, and that's fine. Like that's a thing that you do. It's a trope. I've never liked it, so I don't like Usopp as a result. I wish I could like Usopp. I wish he had the arc where he's just not like that anymore. But they want him like that on the crew. But all right, does that do it for you, Jesse? Or you got anything else to share?
My Hero Academia is still a great show. Still watching.
That's true.
I'm
And
really
we'll
like
talk a
that
little bit
Bernie.
about that later. But if that wraps things up for you, Fast Axe, what do you want to share?
I haven't been doing much lately other than let me see, what have I been watching? That soccer anime. When you're talking about sports anime,
Blue.
not Blue Lock, not Blue Lock. It hasn't.
Okay.
I haven't seen that yet. But Ayoshi, I always chop and screwed up that name, but it's Aoishai, I believe. I might be spelling it wrong, but it's a decent soccer anime. I've seen quite a bit of different soccer animes in my time.
How many are there?
This is
I know
interesting.
Captain Tsubasa is a thing.
Yeah, Subasa's like the classic old school. You had some ones with like some crazy like powers way back when. But yeah. This one seems a little bit more level.
Honey Money is asking, do you mean Io Ashi?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Dash
Yes.
ASHI.
That's what it is. It's on Crunchy.
Okay.
It's on Crunchyroll right now. So they're starting their second core. I think they might end up with maybe 20 plus episodes. I think for this, because the first one is 12, and then they're on their second core now. But that seems a pretty interesting anime. So, and then of course I was looking at Trigun. They brought back the Trigun Stampede.
Yes.
I was like. Sometimes
You're not hyped about this?
Wait, what are they doing?
They're redoing the Trigun anime series. Have you seen Trigun? Vash the Stampede.
I know of it. I think I've seen like 1 or 2 episodes.
I just
He was Vash the Stampede was partly the inspiration for my D&D character's second season outfit. Like all that black leather and belts and stuff.
it's I don't know about this whole using like the art style nowadays versus the old, because I still have the DVDs of all these old shows that they're redoing.
Yeah.
So when I've watched the old shows and I'm like, it's like Berserk when I'm like, I like the older art style versus when they did the whole mess that what it is now. I'm like,
Yeah, but I feel like Berserk is an extreme case because that they kind of cheaped out with the CG version that they've done. Like there have been newer animes that have done better CG.
Right,
Like,
yeah,
I'll
but-
say Kengan Ashura I think has decent CG.
I've seen
and
it.
it's
That's pretty
stuff,
decent.
But yeah, the Berserk one looked really bad.
The CG in Godzilla Singular Point also actually really pretty good and very stylized for what the animation is.
Okay, yeah, they're good examples of it. But yeah, that one was very cheaply done. It looked like.
It was awful. I tried watching some of it. I'm with you.
But it's like I don't. I'm one of those, like, if it was good back then, kind of leave it alone. If you're gonna do something different, or make it like what we've seen prequels, or you take a character and you give them their own deal and you put an extension on it or something like that. But like, just leave the original show alone, please. It's just,
I don't know. Lampy says old Trigun is hard to watch these days because it's super fuzzy and it's 4x3.
so I guess that's just because I'm used to watching all the old stuff. You know what I mean? Like seeing certain characters the way they were developed. You know what I mean? Just.
But I mean, in that sense, that because this is an argument that always gets made when people talk about remakes. Like the old stuff isn't getting replaced by this, as far as we know. Like it'll still be there. Like this is just more of it. You know? So
Yeah, I just because I watched the trailer, I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah, nihilistic euthanasiast is saying, no, Fast Action is right. The new animation style is booty. So yeah, I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know what it looks like. But I'm generally in the camp of if the animation does start to look dated, I don't know, spend some money and update it, because like it worked wonders for Hunter x Hunter and for Fate Stay Night and those shows. Like they had older versions that kind of don't look good anymore, and then like their updated versions that had much higher animation budgets look phenomenal.
Right, and if you look at the fights, though, the way how they did the shading, the coloring, and everything with Fate Night Stay is a perfect example of how they did it right. But if you look at like Blue Exorcist, I don't know if you've seen the anime Blue Exorcist.
I've seen some Blue Exorcist. Does that get a new version?
No,
Or-
but if you look at it, it's still an old anime per se, but like just how it's done. Like I said, it's very hard to explain. Like I've watched so much anime in my lifetime, it's ridiculous. But like when I see something new and I'm like, man, there's a better way you could have done this versus like what I used to see. You know what I mean?
Right. So you're saying like there's a visible like quality bar.
Yeah.
That certain shows are hitting or not hitting.
Right. You know, just like video games, and you guys are looking at certain video games and how, you know, when it comes to textures and terrain and character shading, you know what I mean? And like we were talking about the new Sonic game.
Right.
You know what I mean? Anime kind of is similar in that effect when you're looking at certain animations. Like, man, this just doesn't look right when you do it this way. You know, yes, it can work with certain anime, but I was just saying, just for that particular one, I'm just like, eh.
Okay, no, I mean that's a fair point. Like if the new version isn't like taking full advantage of what's capable today, then yeah, in that case it's kind of like, well, what's the point? Like put either your heart and soul into like making this really shine in today's super competitive, you know, TV show realm, or don't. Like they just showed the first trailer for the Bleach 1,000-Year War arc. That's supposed to be the end of Bleach. That's finally being animated. And they didn't show much, but that doesn't look especially high quality either. It just looks new. So that might be kind of what you're talking about.
Right. Like, I haven't really seen a lot of the trailer for that yet, but I've seen stills, a little stills here and there for the 1,000 War Blood arc. And, you know, I'm interested to see how that pans out, but Hunter x Hunter is also coming back, so I want to see kind of how they're going to do that.
Well, the manga, they said, is coming back, right? Or is it the anime as
So
well?
hopefully when they do the manga, they actually bring the anime back as well to kind of...
Yeah, I would hope so.
Because they kind of left that just literally hanging there after a while.
True.
So other than that, I've just been trying to catch up on some anime stuff. That soccer anime is being I've been really watching because it seems
Are you
decent.
liking it? Like,
Yeah, it's not that bad. I mean, you have a kid that's kind of, you know, he
Not a
knows the
good
game.
pitch.
Well, the kid knows the game, but he doesn't know the game. Like he can play, but it's like playing basketball. You can shoot, but there's just so much more to the game of basketball than
Right.
just shooting.
yeah.
And just like in soccer, you might know your position, but you just have to know so much more than your position on the field of soccer. So I would definitely put it on that level of the way how it explains soccer. You know what I mean?
Right.
Captain Tsubasa, like way back in those days, it's similar. And like they try to show how soccer is a little bit more technical. You know, there's way more. It's just more than you dribbling and skills and all that and shooting. You know, you have to know placement. You know what I mean? You have to know when it comes to positioning on the field and everything else. You know, so that type
Yeah,
of aspect.
I love an anime that will teach me.
And
Like, whether it's about, you know, sports or, you know, other random things in their society or the world at large. Like Initial D taught me so much about like import tuner car culture. Stuff that I've forgotten by now.
Right.
But like, it was fun to learn in a moment.
before imports were a big thing per se, like you're watching Initial D and you're like, man, I want something like that. You know what I mean? You're trying to get
Yeah.
an old car and you're
You start
trying to
getting into cars.
get
Yeah.
into cars, right? You know? And even he had to learn about cars. It's 'cause he,
Right, yeah. It's actually a similar situation that you just said. Like
Yeah.
he has like an inner, like a raw talent for driving, but he literally knew nothing about cars.
Nothing
And
about
that's kind of like from his perspective, you're learning along with him about like cars and like how to maximize his skills and stuff. So like, yeah, that's cool. I love that kind of a story.
Right. So, and I've just been playing a lot
Okay.
of League of Legends, and that's just frustrating in itself. I play a lot of League.
Yeah, I can imagine that community seems to have their hands full with itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so if that wraps things up for you, we'll get into our topics. We'll try to keep these at like maybe 15 minutes a piece because I know Jesse has a hard out at 12.
You.
Therefore, let's get started. My Hero's Ultimate Rumble is the name of a new battle royale based in the My Hero Academia universe. It looks like they have 3-man teams running around a big open map, and there's a lot of like melee focused combat, but also they're superheroes, so like they have some shots and stuff going on. What did you guys think of this trailer? Is anyone excited for this game?
I'm so excited.
All right, Jesse's in.
I legitimately didn't know this was a thing until you posted it, and I was like, "Oh, let me look at this." And yeah, I love this idea. Because battle royale, I'm not a huge fan of because it's like the thing about a battle royale. Most battle royales, like your Fortnites and your whatever the big one is, unknown players battleground, PUBG.
Yes. You said that name like completely
I
backwards,
did.
but okay.
It's like, it's about the shooting and like the RNG of what you find, and then there's like strategy of where you land and what you're willing to compete against. But like that's ultimately kind of dull for me. And I really wanted to see Battle Royale expand, kind of like how the Fall Guys has done the game show style of it. And this looks exactly like what I want to see from a Battle Royale, which is focusing on like a more hero or character driven thing, kind of like League of Legends or like other games, Dead by Daylight, where it's like the choices of the character matter to your play style, and the person team means you can build off each other. And then
But isn't
that's how
nihilistic euthanasia is saying, Jesse, let's play Apex? Isn't what you're describing right now Apex? Apex Legends.
I've never played Apex, so
Because it is a
Then yes.
shooter battle royale,
Yeah.
but it's more like the characters aren't all just reskins. Like they're bespoke. They have their own abilities and kits and stuff, and so you can use those powers with different 3-man team synergies.
from what I've seen of Apex, it looks like the shooting is more of a focal point than the unique powers, even though unique powers do play into it, and I haven't played it, so maybe it's more clear that their unique abilities are like make a bigger influence than that. But it looks like it's mostly like a big part of it is the shooting, kind of like I see Overwatch in chat, like where it's like you have your powers, but it's still shooting.
Right. Yeah.
And this looks
Nihilistic
like
euthanasia is saying, yeah, it's like Overwatch if Overwatch was a battle royale.
yeah. But this looks more like, look, you don't have access to guns as this character, and you can still play. Like, that's what I like, that each character seems to have something unique and different that they do.
Okay. Anyone else have a reaction to this?
I say it's similar to Nakamura, isn't it? If I'm saying that right.
Blade Point. Yes.
Blade Point?
Blade Point.
So like
yeah, I think it's called Blade Point. Naraka Blade Point.
Naraka Blade Point. So
yeah, because it's a melee focus.
it's a melee.
battle
You're
royale,
right.
so
Yes,
yeah.
it's a melee focused deal with powers. So the shooting element's gone. So you just pretty much have to, synergize beating up one person at a time. With your
Yeah,
powers.
just having your whole team.
Jump on somebody.
So it's Bully Simulator. Okay.
Pretty much. You're gonna catch somebody slipping. But I mean, it's an interesting take to the BR. I mean, there's so many BRs out right now. It's like people are kind of getting overwhelmed with playing Apex and PUBG and all the shooter battle royales. So now you're seeing a lot of melee royales come out. That is, pretty interesting. So, and I will stick to what I will always say every time people talk about battle royale. Assassin's Creed, you need to bring back. You really need to bring that back. Stop playing games.
Brotherhood?
Stealth battle royale.
You're right. You really need to. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
You bring in all these.
there is something that is bringing back that mode. I cannot remember what it's called, but it's like an indie game, I think, and it's basically the Assassin's Creed thing, but it's set in like a spy or heist type setting. But it's that same gameplay where like you're hiding in plain sight, trying to behave like an NPC while other people are like hunting you and trying to, do their own objective like on a big map. So you'll get your wish. I just got to remember what that game is, and I'll let you know.
But it's and if they're doing this to My Hero, I'm surprised Naruto didn't do it first.
To be honest, yeah, Naruto does seem like a better fit for that sort of thing. Like they had like a whole Chunin exams thing, which is just like, hey, a bunch of ninjas out in a like a field, and there's hazards, and like you have to battle everybody on site for objectives. Yeah, like they had that kind of built in. But I will say, My Hero Academia kind of also fits that very perfectly, like because they're all still students, right? Like they're in their training, practicing. You could very easily make up the same exact sort of scenario for these purposes if you care about the story at all. But what I'll say is, like, while I'm also not like the biggest fan of battle royales, and also not the biggest fan of like anime based games because I feel like they're very lazy in terms of their execution, this at the very least seems to be something new-ish. Like, yes, it's a fast follower type of genre. Like battle royale is popular, people want to make money off of the fact that it's a battle royale, but they stuck a license on it that could possibly benefit from that sort of gameplay. Because like, yeah, that's what you want to do. You want to run around, you want to use the powers of these characters, and this allows you the opportunity to do so. Like, it's not another arena fighter, so hopefully it actually does have legs. And there's a little bit of precedence that says that it might, because Spellbreak, which just closed down their servers because of unpopularity, kind of had a similar vibe to this. Like, it was mostly like third-person shooter based, but you shot like magical abilities and stuff. So it wasn't bespoke characters, but you could have certain powers that are tied to like Jesse, you remember we played Spellbreak a little bit, but like, yeah, you pick up stuff off the battlefield that give you very specific powers, and then you can use those powers at different levels and in different mixtures with other elemental powers to do stuff on the battlefield. So half the roster of My Hero probably does half of what's in Spellbreak. You know, like ice powers, grass powers, fire powers, right? So if they have some of that in there where like powers can synergize and mix, which I'm sure they will, since it's a 3-person team based thing, like they probably want you to use kind of synergistic powers to have certain effects on the field. That actually sounds like very fun gameplay. And with the license of My Hero Academia, which is super popular right now, it'll probably get a lot more playtime than Spellbreak ever did, which had to sadly shut down. So like, I don't know, I'm kind of optimistic about this being kind of something special in the anime genre. Like I definitely want to check it out. Do we know if this is going to be free to play though?
I believe it is, yeah.
Because if they charge money for this, I think people are going to buy it because people buy all the anime shit.
Right.
But I don't think it'll last.
It is free to play.
Okay, good. So yeah, so I have high hopes for this. I think it might be exactly what like it has all the elements to actually make a success, I feel like.
I think if you're making a battle royale nowadays, it has to be free to play because
honestly,
we're not paying for it. No.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think you're gonna have people out there paying. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll wrap up that discussion. Unless Rachel, did you have anything you wanted to add about My Hero?
No, just that I'm glad it's not a fighting game.
Yeah.
It's more interesting than that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so we'll move over to our final topic. If you guys missed was it last week? Like, or is it just yesterday? I don't know. EA's Twitter discourse. They ran a joke that basically, you know, the meme that says, "Oh, she's a 10" or "They're a 10," but they only like single player games. This was the tweet that went out, and immediately there was like tons and tons of backlash. Some high profile backlash. Some members of actual EA studios who are working on single player games kind of responded to this saying like, well, that's really shitty of you to downplay single player games when we're at your company working on single player games. It's almost like you don't give a shit about us, the people who you hired to do this job. And so, as Twitter tends to do, they kind of went on, you know, a ratio spree of just constantly retweeting and talking trash about calling EA out on all sorts of other bad things that they've done, etc. Until EA, the EA Twitter account, I should say, apologized. Like they stated that they'll take the L. They didn't mean to offend single player gamers, stuff like that. And then it essentially died. But I don't want to necessarily talk about the Twitter discourse. More so, I want to talk about why do people get so offended over this kind of duality between playing a single player or multiplayer game. Like, if you prefer one or the other, why is there like kind of this contention? Do any of you guys identify as more of a multiplayer or single player gamer? I'm curious. Chat, you guys can chime in on this as well.
I don't think it's ever occurred to me to identify one way or the other.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just seems so limiting. But I mean, I guess I play a lot of single player games, so I guess that makes me a single player gamer. But
Okay, so rather than identifying as one or the other, which do you prefer? Like, if you have to choose, like, I want to get something new, I want to spend some time playing a game, like, you're going to spend that time going through a single player campaign or like doing a multiplayer thing?
I'm usually more. I usually go single player, if only because single player games a lot of times feel like they have a definite beginning and a definite end.
Mm-hmm.
Then in multiplayer, it's just all. It's forever a certain status quo, and that's great for things like if I just want to jump into like an Apex match or play around a Fall Guys or something. It's great for like temporary enjoyment, but single player campaigns are like the meat of what I enjoy in games. But I don't know. I
find that so crazy that you use the term temporary enjoyment for a multiplayer game versus a single player game, because I feel the exact opposite way. I would probably sit down to do something with multiplayer, like if I have the free time, and single player to me feels like the temporary thing, where it's like, because it has a bespoke beginning and end, it's only going to take me this amount of time to get through it, and then I can go back to doing the stuff that I want to do in my what I consider leisure time. Because even in my leisure time, playing through a single player game to me kind of feels like I'm trying to get through this like I would like a show on Netflix. Like, I need to binge this season or whatnot. Like, that's the vibe I get. Like, yes, I'm enjoying myself, but like it's like, all right, this is a temporary thing. It'll be fleeting. Once I get to the end of it, I've consumed it, and then I can move on.
Well, let me ask you, Casey, if you didn't have to play a lot of games for work, how many single player games do you think you would play?
Probably less than I do now, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Because in general, like, I try to check out the stuff that gets praised, because I want to see like what's good in it. Like, okay, like is this gonna hit me the same way? But yeah, in general, like if I know I'm not a fan of like a single player thing, I probably won't. Like Horizon Zero Dawn, for example, like I tried it out after a lot of prodding, and I fell off of it pretty quickly, because like the amount of time that's in it, like, yes, it's a single player game, but it's kind of built as if you have hours and hours and hours and hours to dedicate to it, and that I don't want to spend that much time playing a game by myself, unless it's like something like Monster Hunter World, which I can play multiplayer, but I have been playing that by myself for a long time because it's just fun. But I don't know. That's me. Jesse, what's your preference out of the two?
I feel like Dead by Daylight is going to yell at me directly if I say single player. I feel like before Dead by Daylight, it was mostly single player. And then once I got...
But you don't play Dead by Daylight on a team, though. You usually just play as the killer, right?
Usually, yeah. I'll play like with Survivor if I've got 1 or 3 people who wants to play along. I never solo that. That's not fun for me. Yeah, but I still think it is... I would still consider it, even playing the killer, it's still a multiplayer experience, because I wouldn't go into it the same way I go into a single player game. So like when I'm trying, it's a skill-based melee combat thing. So if I'm doing that, I have to figure out how the people I'm trying to murder are going to react as humans, versus when I'm playing Elden Ring, where I have to figure out, how do I cheese this?
Right. That makes sense.
But yeah, I think it's ultimately, I guess I would fall on the side of single player outside of that. But like, I play both. I like both. They're both great. Like, why would you ever limit yourself or like try to die on a hill
like defending one versus the other, right? Yeah.
Like they're both great. Like what? It's like if you were upset because people like horror films and not comedies, and you're like, well, I'm a comedy person. Like that's the real genre. Like that's stupid. Like enjoy what you enjoy.
For sure.
Don't pitch a tent somewhere. Like it. That kind of drives me wild.
So how about you, Fast X?
Yeah,
What would be your preference?
To be honest with you, I'm neutral. I mean, well, because we all were single player games before multiplayer came around. Remember, multiplayer was like everybody came over to the house was the early start, and everybody played like Smash Brothers.
There were,
that.
I mean, back in the day, there was like at max 2 players, like for a home console, but arcades always had like up to four to six. So
Right. But I'm just saying, like, Super Mario Brothers, back in the early...
I played Mario Brothers with my little brother. Like, we took turns.
You know what I mean?
But they had 2 different characters. But, like, most of my gaming memories, my most fun ones, always have to do with, like, other people. So, like, I will... I will basically say that I am mostly into multiplayer games for that sake. If you guys are not watching the podcast, you should. I'll just say that much. If you're just listening to this, you should be watching the video.
I married that man.
With good reason.
Yes.
But
no, go ahead, Fast X.
But to me, I mean, I don't see why people are getting... Like, there should be no line at all. You're a gamer, period. You like playing games either way on the fence. I've spent tons of hours into, like, Final Fantasy VII, tons of hours into, like, Fable, tons of hours into, like, RPG games. But I also liked, when I was with GoldenEye back then. Even now, like, sometimes... playing multiplayer games. I play a lot more multiplayer games now, like Bless and stuff like that, because I'm just more MMO RPG driven. Now I can just play with people all over the world when it comes to playing, certain type of MMOs. But do I play one versus the other? No, I think they're both equally great. It's just what I feel like playing half the time.
Right. Okay. So yeah, it's just you're not looking for like a single player experience or a multiplayer experience when you sit. You're looking for an experience, and it just happens to be this, that, or whatever.
Right.
In your case,
I will say this though, when you look at it money wise, like I tend to not buy a lot of single player games these days because it is like a start to finish, unless it's like something on Game Pass or something. You know what I mean? Even if that, but. As a collector, though, I do collect them, even though I don't play them, certain titles, because down the line, single-player titles are worth quite a bit versus multiplayer titles.
That is true.
So as a collector, obviously, I'm going to have a lot of single-player games versus multiplayer titles. Now, you do have those few multiplayer titles that can make a nice little bread down the line. But it's mainly a lot of single player games that they only make so many few of that, as a collector, we try to, get what we can. So, and that's just a different way of looking at it on the backside if you're looking at it monetarily. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I see what you mean. We'll answer this chat question before we wrap things up. The Nihilistic Enthusiast. I've been reading that name like different ways this whole stream, I realized. But the Nihilistic Enthusiast says, okay, but serious question for the hosts. What about games like Civilization, where they can be either single or multiplayer?
I almost feel like this dichotomy between multi and single player almost didn't exist until EA made that tweet. And then, suddenly people are like, am I a multiplayer gamer or a single player gamer? And like, you're a gamer. What are you talking about? Even, it doesn't matter if which way you swing, as it were. And I almost feel like EA is like somebody at EA made the wrong-headed decision to put that tweet out, and now people are like, wait, there's a difference between the two.
There's a side I have to pick now.
Yeah.
Somebody
I think that has existed
for no reason.
before. I do think that that dichotomy has existed beforehand because there, like it's the thing is like it's dumb. The dichotomy is dumb. So like people have kind of sided with either single player or multiplayer games and identified as being one or the other because there are some people who only do one or the other. So of course they're gonna champion that as the way that the world should be. But yeah, like I like video games in general. Most of you guys do as well. So like I don't really specify that way, but I do know that as a preference, like if I was gonna make my perfect video game or whatever, it would probably have a multiplayer element in it because like I find that to be an enjoyable aspect of the gaming experience, like doing it with other people. So that's why I would lean towards that as my preference. But for yeah, like any title that has like a single player mode and a multiplayer thing, I mean that's kind of a case by case basis. Like Civilization, for example, is a game that I would not enjoy playing either single or multiplayer. Like I don't, I don't like the 4X strategy games.
StarCraft.
So, like, that doesn't really even matter. Exactly. Yeah. But then there are some cases where like, okay, the single player in the game is good, but the multiplayer really sucks. So like, I'm not going to spend any time in the multiplayer in that. And then vice versa. Like single player is bad, multiplayer is great. So it really is kind of like a case by case basis, I would say.
But everybody loves Elden Ring.
But that's also technically both. Like there's a multiple.
But that's what that's my point. Everybody loves Elden Ring.
Brings all of us together.
It brings everybody right. So
we all unite in Elden Ring.
Right. So I mean, nobody can't fuss with that one.
Elden Ring's open world is big enough for all of us.
Aw. And on that note, we'll wrap things up. Rachel Kaiser, why don't you let folks know where it is they can find you and what it is they can find you doing when they do find you?
Well, usually you can find me on Twitter. It's at Rachel Kaiser. It's above my head there. And yeah, I post a lot of my stuff from GamesBeat that I write, and I'm also starting to stream again with Luigi in the background there. And yeah, I also do weekly blog posts, so you can find all my stuff on Twitter. So if you're ever interested in seeing what I'm up to, just go on my Twitter. I'll inevitably post everything there. So, and I got a new Masonry Monday coming out tomorrow. So
Nice. Rexicon Jesse, where can folks find you? What do you have coming up this week?
Twitch and Twitter, which is Rexicon Jesse. I'll be streaming as I usually do tomorrow, from 11 to 2 Eastern Standard Time. Same thing Tuesday. RPG Help Desk on Wednesday at noon. It's always fun. It's good stuff. The episode of Gothic came out for behind schedule on the game Gothic came out on Friday. So woo, you could watch that over on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how that came out. That was a very, very funny playthrough.
Thank you. I could throw a link in chat if you want, if that is acceptable.
You should be able to put links in here. I feel like I messed that up somehow. Can I do it from here? Like if I click your name, can I make that happen?
I don't know. Let's see if that works.
Oh yeah, I can mod you from here.
Oh, okay. Well, there. I think it worked.
Wait, try it again. It might have been you might have got in right before.
Oh no! All right, let me try again. There we
go. There we go.
Cool.
Sweet. Yeah, definitely check that out, guys.
Yeah, so that was quite a video. So positive reception so far. Glad people are enjoying it. I'm glad you enjoyed the playthrough. That game was worth doing a review over. Absolutely.
Nice.
Lampy says the episode has good captions. Yes, it does. Thanks for that help, Lampy. It has great captions.
So the Fat Stacks, where can folks find you? What do you have coming up this week?
You can find me at the Fat Stacks and all my socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that. Looking to still grind out with Bless Unleashed. Man, I'd hate this. That thing is brutal. So still trying to get at that. Other than that, I mean, that's it. If you guys are interested in anime, like I said, I'm a big anime guy. Anime store. So if you're looking for all your anime needs, www.thefatstacks.com. So
nice. And as for me, you guys can find me here at SigmaGears9 on Twitch, SigmaGears9 on Twitter as well. And later today on the Open Party Twitch channel, we'll be doing Super Smash Sunday starting at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, going till 5:30. So hang out with me and Superman Jeff while we're doing that. Outside of that, just had a review go up for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak on the Escapist, so check that out over there. And this coming week will be my last quote unquote week at the Escapist for a little bit. Like I will be gone for like maybe 2-3 weeks or so as I'm adjusting to the new job that I just got. And then I'll be back probably at new times for the streams. We're still figuring out when we can fit those in. But don't worry, like I'm not leaving the Escapist.
Thank goodness. Sorry.
But on that note, thanks everybody in chat so much for your participation. Thanks to my 3 co-hosts. It's great having a discussion with you guys. We will see you next week. Peace.
Bye.
See you.